This is the TSG Multimedia Podcast for December of 2024. We're sponsored this month by the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. Find out how you can support the content you love at patreon.com/TSG Multimedia, modelrailroadcontrolsystems.com, electronics for operations, and by Podomatic, a podcast hosting and distributing platform. Thank you very much. I'm John, and you're tuned in to the longest-running train-related podcast, bringing you the best train-related stuff since 2010. This month, we'll be talking about a THRA field trip, some open house events, some op sessions, some upcoming virtual events, and a lot more. And before we get to that, I'd like to ask for your support on Patreon. Supporters get weekly behind-the-scenes updates as well as sneak peeks, sometimes months ahead of the public release. I've made it easy to help out in other ways too, so please take a look at this video's description and think about helping us make the content you enjoy. Thanks so much for your continued support, and by the way, I also want to wish everyone a great holiday season, no matter what you celebrate. November 2nd, Saturday, here at the SBHRS. You may recognize this room I'm in as the one that we were working on last month. So all of this stuff is cataloged or archived or whatever you want to call it now. And this is the entrance for the open houses. You can see there's an open door there, some guys at a desk taking people's money, and it suddenly got loud in here. But you can also see that over my left shoulder there's an open window with a guy in there. And that's the simulated ticket taker guy, the ticket agent. Everything. So I'm standing here looking at the books that they have, and I found that they have one about my life.
This year?
Okay, well, this is a little bit later, and we're taking off now from the SBHRS open house. It seemed like this year, or this fall's open house, was very well attended. It seemed like there were a lot of people here, especially in the morning. And we got to see and hang out with some friends that some of them I didn't even know were coming. And so it was a pretty nice time. Got to do some filming, captured some more video of trains here in Santa Clara, and it's all good. So that's it for this update, and we'll see you on the next update, which is going to be tomorrow. Hi, we did something train related and history related today. We're up in a place called Groveland, which is a place that I've only been through, and I don't even remember because it was a really, really long time ago on the way to Yosemite. And this is for a THRA, or Tuolumne Historical Railroad Association field trip. You may recall we were at a place called Table Mountain recently for the first field trip. This is the second field trip, and I'm here with Glenn and John once again. And I thought I'd let you guys talk a little bit about what we're doing here. You can start, I guess.
Okay, so the whole idea behind the field trip is to have smaller groups dealing with specific areas of the county's railroads. Hetch Hetchy is known, but not as known as well as, say, Pickering or West Side. But the railroad went right through Groveland, and there's still a lot of history there, and that the people that had the presentations that really did a great job.
I might mention that it was very gratifying to us at THRA that two of our members took it upon themselves to volunteer to do this field trip. They are both fans of the Hetch Hetchy Railroad and very knowledgeable about it, and they put it all together. The program today consisted of a couple presentations, one by each of those two individuals, and they are Steve Rediker and John Cockle. I want to give them a shout out. But they did a great job, and after a quick tour of the Groveland Museum here, we're going to go on a hike on some of the Hetch Hetchy Railroad right-of-way that goes right through Groveland. I suspect over 1 million people a year drive through Groveland on their way to Yosemite, and probably fewer than 1% realize that they are right next to what used to be the headquarters of the Hetch Hetchy Railroad, and the railroad right-of-way went right through town here. So we're going to hike on that, and then after a lunch at an old historic saloon here in Groveland, then we're going to do another hike where the right-of-way went through a nearby residential development. So kind of a multifaceted event today.
Glenn mentioned Steve Rediker. He has a layout video that's the Hetch Hetchy in black and white. You can find right here on this channel. I'll put a link to it in the video description of this video for you to find.
And as Glenn mentioned, we're looking for new venues next year for the field trips, probably sometime in January or February. Of course, the Sierra Seminar is in May this year, the first weekend in May. But again, some things happening in the summer. So if you'd like to step forward and give us some ideas of what you'd like to see in one of these events, give us a call or check us out on the website.
The website is www.tuolumnerailroad.org.
Leading line as far as putting together the substance of it, so let me get out of the way and turn it over to her.
So that didn't come about, and we had a door that was created, the stained glass was created at headquarters, which is, you heard downstairs, included the hospital, and here's some interior pictures of our hospital in our first exhibit. And Dave, as I understand from Steve and others.
While we're out here exploring the old right-of-way, Steve Rediker is giving a presentation about the Peach Growers Association. I wanted to do both, but can only be in one place at a time, unfortunately.
All the brush here, see how heavily wooded it is, but he was standing up on that, trying to kind of get the... And before this talk, I could not find it again. I love it somewhere.
This was a really good field trip for the THRA. thanks, John, for a great time. Thanks to the THRA for having this field trip, and also to Steve Rediker, because he put on a great presentation about the Hetch Hetchy as well. So that's it for now. Signing out from Groveland, California. Hi, we're here at Silicon Valley Lines today. This is Saturday the 9th, I think. And this is the first train thing we're doing this week. A lot of other stuff was happening this week that wasn't train related, but we're out here at the open house supporting Silicon Valley Lines. This is James, the current president here. I've been for a number of years now.
Yeah, about 3 or so.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But how's the open house for you guys today?
It's going great. We've had a lot of children around, and they've enjoyed the layout. We've had the parents enjoying themselves too, and one of the things that we allow people to do during our open houses is run the trains themselves. So we give you the controller, and we let you run around, and get to have fun, and you get to actually participate as opposed to just sitting there and watching everybody do everything around you. So
it's true. I actually saw a little kid, I don't know how old he is, maybe
about
5 or 6 maybe,
or something, yeah,
running this train that's being pulled around by the steam engine, and seems to be doing a really good job, actually.
Yeah, he's completely enamored with it, doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, that's a challenge, I guess, for parents, especially when you have a situation where the kids are allowed to run the trains, but it's really great for the kids, I think.
Yeah, one of the parents had to drag their kid out of here, like pick him up. He did not want to leave earlier.
Did you need earplugs for the screaming?
No, I couldn't hear it over the engines.
Oh, okay. So anyway, that's the thing that we're doing. I'm going to see if there's someone else here. I'm going to see if I can get him to talk on the camera. I don't know if he will, but I'm going to try. This is not TSG Live Talking Trains. That's right. This is a you're not sure who you're going to run into, but look who's here today. It's their regular dispatcher here, Murph. What brings you out today?
Well, I thought I should probably see what's new at the club since I haven't really been on site in probably 2 years or so at least.
I've been here more than he has, and he's a member.
Yeah, I'm usually just 30 miles away in my dispatcher desk at home. So it's there have been a lot of changes and a lot of details added to the layout that I really, really like.
You know, in a way, it's fun to see you here because this place is how I know him. He was the president here when I first, really became aware of Silicon Valley Lines. So what are some of the things that you've noticed here that weren't here last time?
Well, if you look, for instance, all the trees that are going in here at Hammett and that sort of thing. And honestly, it looks like Idaho's been kind of gussied up a little bit. Somebody's really kind of taken this under their wing and gotten things updated and that sort of thing. There's some work going on at Silicon. We've got the industry going on over there. I hadn't seen the changeover here at Nowers for the passenger station, which is absolutely amazing.
That's new for me, too.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen this yet.
Some people have actually spruced up my RailX area. Thank God, it's been left alone for quite a while, so I'm glad somebody took it on.
But you have your own layout to build.
There's that, yeah, exactly. And of course, it's been fun actually getting back together with people in real life and actually talking with them, that sort of thing. Been missing that.
If you want to learn more about Silicon Valley Lines, this would be a great time for you, James, to mention.
So you can go to our website, siliconvalleylines.com, and take a look around, and you can also come down during one of our Friday op sessions. We're about to go into a maintenance shutdown, so it'll be a little while after the second Saturday of November, but it'll be a little while before we have an op session, but you're always free to come down on a Friday night. We love visitors down here. So.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to mention about Silicon Valley Lines is, before we go, is that this is an operations-based layout. Mm-hmm. So James just mentioned about operating sessions. We actually run op sessions here, and it's a great way if you can join here to learn about operations. Mm-hmm. Because, what is it, every last Friday of the month or something like
generally,
that?
With a couple of Saturdays peppered in here and there. And even if you're unsure if you want to join, if you want to just come and visit too, you can come down and see what it's like. we, as I said, we enjoy visitors down here. If you check our website, you can look at the calendar that we have on there, and that'll start to be filled out for 2025 here in about a month or so.
SiliconValleyLines.com. So we're doing something train related today. We're at Glenn Sutherland's Sierra 1923 layout for an op session. And we're doing a job today that I've wanted to do for a while. This is the rock train. And the rock train involves moving rock, basically, to the Don Pedro Dam site, which is a prototypical thing that the Sierra Railway actually did.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about this particular job is that we're actually using live loads, meaning they're real loads that you can unload at the dam site. And I'll show you that later. It's a really interesting operation. And I've wanted to do this job for a while, and it just so happens that we got assigned to it today. So these are the live loads I was talking about. These are actually loose rocks in there that we're going to dump at an active dump site at the dam. It's really cool. It's a little bit later and we're at the dam site now, and you're going to see that this live load actually empties out of the car. So part of the job that we're doing requires us to run back and forth to this area called Cooperstown to pick up the loads that were left here by another train, I guess. And it's interesting because we're only allowed to carry 2 loaded cars plus the caboose or something like that. There's some limit. Maybe it's 3 loaded cars plus the caboose up to the area where we're working at the dam site. So there's a lot of little rules built into this job to make it more interesting and to make it take longer, which is kind of the whole point to all this. All right, well, this is a couple days later, and I just wanted to come on now that I've had a few days to think about our trip to Mariposa and the op session. And really one of the highlights of that experience was meeting a train crew member that I've been wanting to meet for like 2 or 3 years. The stars finally aligned. So, Tom, it was really great to meet you. Thank you for wearing the shirt and repping even at the op session. TSG train crew shirt. Something else that I've been working on this week is the layout to our video. If you're watching this on the podcast, on the regular release of the podcast, this won't make any sense to you, because the TSG train crew gets previews every weekend, or almost every weekend whenever I have one available. And the preview that the train crew got to see this week was John Petrovitz's N-scale layout that models San Francisco and parts of the North Bay, as he models the Northwestern Pacific as well. A really well done N-scale layout, maybe one of the best I've seen. Well, there's no maybe about it. It is one of the best I've seen. So anyway, it was a nice trip to Mariposa. It's been a pretty productive week otherwise as well. I have an op session tomorrow at a layout that I've never operated on. Pretty excited about that. And I may or may not have an update there, depending how intense the operations are. So anyway, that's it for now, and I'll catch up with you on the next update. Hi, we're doing something train related today. Sydney's on another part of this layout, and you never know who you'll run into. We got my buddy Jim Diaz here, who has that gorgeous Western Pacific layout that we looked at over the summer because it wasn't summer, was it? Oh, no, it was summer, because I brought my friend over. Yeah, last time I was at Jim's, I had Lucas Woodward from Australia over there to look at it. That was you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I thought so. Anyway, we're here at a layout that I've wanted to operate for a really long time. And thanks to Jim, we finally got invited. Thanks, Jim. And is there something you want to say about this layout, Jim? We're about to do our first job. Why don't you tell the people?
Well, I've been operating on this layout from the beginning, and it's a great layout to operate on. It's flawless, track work wise, motor power, rolling stock, and it's got great scenery on it also.
Yeah,
just a wonderful layout to operate on.
So the job that we're going to operate here is a through train that runs from one end of the layout to the other. This is something that's done very intentionally by layout owners quite often to give new operators, such as me, an idea of what the layout is and where everything is on the layout. And Jim volunteered graciously to hold my hand to get the train over the layout. We'll see if I needed to have my hand held or not, but I appreciate it because...
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that I don't want to mess up the session for anybody else, so it's better to have someone who knows what they're doing the first time.
Well, know what I'm doing, I don't know.
We'll have fun.
Yeah, we'll find out.
We'll have fun either way. And this is the train that we're going to take. What's it called again, Jim? Something...
East Stockton Holler.
East Stockton Holler. And that's it. So Jim called for our track warrant, and we have authority all the way to a place called Redding, which Jim just informed me is down on the lower level on, I think, on the other side of this peninsula that I'm filming the background to right now. So this is, it's already exciting, Jim. We're already doing something.
I know. I gotta yell at the flunkies. The flunkies are listening. What am I doing? Okay. You got that, Dave? And then Leo, you need to figure out.
What's that?
I just wanted to...
Oh, it's really funny that there's someone here that we know. Hey, what are you doing here?
Man, I'm busy.
Technically, I think his job title here is Yard Flunky.
That is true. I was given.
Looks like he's doing a really good job so far. Because you look like a flunky, Murph.
Are you the tower guy?
Yes, I am the tower.
This is an important place on the railroad where we need a green because there's kind of an interlocking here where you could get T-boned. So this is probably I've been told, the most important signal on the railroad. Something really fun happened here. You can see we have a red.
Wait a second.
And we're on the same track as this train that also has a red. This is a little bit later on. And we're about to do the second job. And that's where this 4514 in the picture has to go over most of the railroad. And we have to drop some cars off in a yard and then terminate at the other staging yard at the end. Should be fun. So on this run, I'm being the conductor, so I'm handling all the radio stuff and the track warrants. And then Jim over here, at least for now, is the engineer, and we're being supervised by the top secret railroad supervisor. But the idea here is, now that I've run a train over the road and heard the way they deal with their radio protocols, I'm comfortable enough to do this, and it's a little bit harder than what I did last time. And this is what I think good layout owners do, is they make it easier for the new people to get accustomed to what they're doing, and we do progressively harder jobs that we're capable of. So it's a lot of fun, really. This is after lunch, and we're back at it. We're going to finish the job that we started before lunch, and we're having fun. Are you having fun, Jim?
Oh, yeah. Always.
We're parking the job we just finished into a staging yard that we can't see, so there's a video monitor here to show us. where we're going. How cool is that? So our third job of the day, actually, we're able to leave the yard finally, and we've arrived at a place on the layout where we have to do some set outs and some pickups. So the nice thing about this is that we're actually off the main line, so we don't have to worry about dodging other trains now. So we're just going to do a bunch of switching in here until we're done. Okay, so this is a while later. We're back home, and I have a couple of thoughts here now that I've had a chance to sort of digest what we did today. One thing I will say is that Rick's layout operates really, really well. Like, I don't think there was a single derailment that I saw other than one that I had where it was user error. And it was just, I was trying to uncouple something, and the skewer I was using pulled up on the coupler and took the car off the track. That's it. So it's a really good operating layout. Very, very impressed with that. And it's actually a fairly straightforward operating scheme that I picked up on. It's just a matter of understanding where things are on the layout. And it's really well laid out too. It's labeled well, so you don't have to wonder where you are or how to find where you have to put stuff. And boy, did we have a lot of fun. The other cool thing about this layout is I counted, I counted when I was there, but now I forgot. I think I counted 18 operators. So it accommodates a lot of people. And even though there were that many people there, the layout's big enough that most of the time you don't feel crowded, like there's a whole bunch of people all around. So yeah, what a great time. So huge shout out and thanks to Rick, obviously, for having us over, but also to Jim for getting us on the list. And then a quick little shout out to Charlie, who gave us some information, or gave me some information about how they do things there that helped. So thank you so much to all of these people. 2 of them are on the train crew, so you're going to see this early. So Jim and Charlie, thank you very much for your help, your assistance in the whole thing. And I'm really hoping to see you guys there again sometime soon. One other thing that I thought was really cool is that out of those 18 people, I'd seen every single one of them somewhere before and knew all but I think 1 or 2 of them. So it was really an obsession with a bunch of friends, which is really what this is about. So thanks, guys. It was a great time, and I'll see you all on the next podcast update. Hi there. I did something that was kind of train related today. I'm over here at Seth's place once more. This seems to happen often. People are going to start talking, I think, Seth. But we had something else that we were recording here today, and I thought, since I have him here, just like we did last month when I was over here for something else, I want to have you mention about this, what we call the SIGMEET. It's a Layout Design and Operations Weekend. That's an annual event, and it's always a really good event. I went to the first one, my first one, I think in 2018, and I've been going ever since because I was so impressed with what I saw the first time. And I've been involved now on the planning committee, I think, for most of them since then.
Well, once we discovered you were interested and knew how to do good video, we had to get you involved. But I think your first one was the Petaluma event in 18, and which I mean, they're mostly very good, but that was a very, very good one, and it was just nice to see you and sit up there. And obviously, you guys have become an integral part of our SIGMEET and convention planning. And the Pacific Coast region has a strong commitment to virtual events, which obviously is important. Talking to this group, a lot of you aren't local to the Bay Area, and we've met a lot of friends and have a lot of repeat guests and visitors that I think have largely come to us through John's channel. So, boy, we're really excited to see you again. Let me run through the program when that's appropriate, and we'll
Yeah.
Bring you up to date.
Since you mentioned it, Seth, I do want to mention something. This is really for everybody, but I think it's more for PCR members. And that is that not everybody, this may come as a surprise to you, not everybody in the PCR is as keen on doing virtual events as we are. And I mention this because there may be some, like PCR conventions, for example, that may not have a virtual element. And I would mention to really anybody who's interested in coming to any of the virtual events that we do, that if one happens like that and it means something to you, to let people know, hey, we want a virtual option, because I know, and you know, that not everybody can come in person. And if we don't offer a virtual one, those people are left out completely. And that's something to me that just isn't acceptable. So, so I wanted to mention that my commitment really is to try to include as many people as possible. And if you ever see an event that's not being done virtually that normally is, it wasn't because of me, because I've made it very clear to everybody that I can that we're volunteering to do the virtual side of any convention or whatever can be made as a hybrid. So I think that's something important to mention, because, like I said, not everybody's as keen on it as we are. And even for the SIG meet, we're doing it virtually, because even one of our original planners, at least when I got involved, doesn't come to them in person generally because he's compromised. And I mean, why should he be left out? He's not going to come in person anyway, because he can't.
Well, we certainly could go on in great detail, but there's several different communities that we really feel we want to keep the faith with. There are people like our friend Dave, who's immunocompromised, and there's lots of people who, have mobility issues, need to stay at home to take care of family, a series of problems like that just prevent you from getting out and enjoying it. Whereas, if you log in virtually, you can at least catch most of it and get some value out of it and still be connected. We also have a large community of what I would call expats, people who used to live in the Bay Area and, for various reasons going through different phases of life, you move away usually to be closer to grandkids and kids. And again, if you're living in Texas or Hawaii, it's very difficult to get in the car and drive to wherever in Northern California we're holding the meet this year. And then finally, we have just developed a community of guys who mostly joined us with Rails by the Bay during the pandemic and have stayed with us. And they're all over the world.
I was going to mention that. We have people from Canada,
Australia, Germany, UK,
right?
A group of people who live out in San Juan Islands and off of Washington State. And, clearly, you're not going to hop in your car and drive 1,000 miles. So, anyway, you're all part of our community. We hope to see you virtually if you can't make it in person.
Yeah. So what do the people have to look forward to for both in person and virtual?
This year, we're returning to Sacramento, which is Northern California, but not Bay Area. But the wonderful thing in Sacramento, of course, is the California State Railroad Museum in Old Town, which is about as railroady a venue as you could possibly have. And they're wonderful and have just been incredibly generous with us over the years. And they have a beautiful facility. And if you attend in person, you do get the run of the museum on Friday afternoon and Saturday. So a lot of, extra railroady content. So what we do is we try to provide an activity Friday afternoon so that if you're driving in and you're going to stay overnight with friends or at a hotel, you don't have to fight the rush hour commute. And this year, what we're going to have is a tour of the Railroad Museum, and more specifically, the NMRA's Magic of Model Railroading exhibit, which I did a little work on personally, but, I have to say it's just beautifully, beautifully done. And the tour will be conducted by Charlie Getz, who is a former president of the PCR, former president of the NMRA. And this was really a project that he led. Charlie was worked for the Attorney General's office of the state of California, and one of his clients was the state park system. And you may or may not know it, but the CRM is the biggest draw in the state park system. So it's really the crown jewel, and Charlie is intimately familiar with it, and we'll of course give you a great tour of the exhibit, along with just some wonderful war stories and inside baseball on it. So that's our Friday event. We'll be having a no-host dinner somewhere either in Old Town, which is an easy walk from the museum, or there's a few other railroady venues in the area, but we're going to try for Old Town this year. Then Saturday is, what you'd think of as the bulk of the clinic program. And I believe John's going to be talking with Cliff Linton, who's our program coordinator, and he's responsible for the Saturday activities. And we'll go through the lineup. But essentially, we're going to have 4 clinics, a switching contest, a design challenge, and a panel discussion. And that'll take us pretty much from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., something in that order.
Yeah.
You're on your own for dinner Saturday. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was going to say Saturday is what I call clinic day.
Yes.
And that's the bulk of the virtual event. Something that's worth mentioning about the virtual event is that it's set up in a way so that people who are attending virtually get as much social interaction with each other as possible, too. And one of the comments that I've heard it repeatedly, is that our virtual or hybrid events are as much like being there as it could be, because we really foster that personal interaction and people make friends on the virtual event, which is exactly what we're after. So
I think it's awesome. I mean, certainly during Rails by the Bay, we were doing a little program called The Clinic Goes On, where we had a little Zoom meeting room. And if you wanted to continue talking to the presenter or just jawing about the topic, you could go in there and, we'd cooped up and of course hadn't seen anyone, and you'd go in and there would be like 30 people, a lot of whom you hadn't seen since before. And, we'd just carry on. In many cases, CGI went on all the way through the next program.
Yeah.
And these were great. So we try to do that, and we think it really, helps make the event feel like you're really there. So that's and it's another good reason to watch live rather than, a recording later, because
I'm glad you mentioned that. This is funny. He mentioned something that I need to chime in on. Something else that we usually do is have the clinic content available for 2 weeks afterwards. So if you missed it live, you can still go back and watch it. Now, you're not going to get all the social interactions that you get if you're there live, but you still get some great clinics. For a couple weeks after the event too. So
and that's just, if you're somewhere else and, obviously life intervenes, you need to go deal with something, grab some food, whatever it is, you can always go back and watch the whole thing later. So,
or different time zones, right? Because we have people worldwide.
Yeah, shifting. Exactly. Yeah. Our noon may not be a very convenient time for you. Anyway, Saturday evening, we will have layout tours. Jim Radke, our layout coordinator, tells me we have 6 or 7 perspective tours. And, one of them I just had the opportunity to run with a couple of weeks ago, Dick Pashley, beautiful layout, interesting automation, very, very bright guy, all kinds of cool stuff going on in that layout. That one is absolutely confirmed, and there's 5 or 6 others. So we'll definitely have enough for you to drive out from the museum and spend your whole evening as long as you want to spend. And then Sunday, of course, we'll be featuring op sessions. And again, we'll find some Sacramento area layouts. Many of them will be from the tour. And we'll be contacting people who express interest in operations and the sign up couple of weeks in advance, get your preferences, and set you up with some with the session. And so it's a very full weekend if you can attend in person, but the Saturday program is well worth it as a freestanding event.
Sure. Something else to mention is that we'll share links with the virtual audience to clue them in on what these open houses that Seth is talking about, because I've actually done video layout tours on this channel of some of these layouts.
Exactly.
So, right. So people can still get a taste of that. But in any case, it's still worth it if you can join us virtually as well. So.
Yeah, we're absolutely trying to apply whatever technology we can to make this a more immersive experience for the virtual guests.
Yeah. So one more time, the dates on it were January 31st, which is the Friday.
Right.
So February 1st will be the Saturday, the clinic day, as I call it.
Clinic day, program day, yeah.
Right. And then Sunday, the 2nd, will be Ops Day. And something else that I would like to mention is Sydney always does what we call a virtual check-in. And she'll do that on Friday evening so that people who are new to our virtual events can figure out or learn or understand what we do and how we do it, so that it'll help the event be more satisfying for anyone who's attending virtually on Saturday. And then the other thing to mention is we have a website, bayldops.com. If you go to bayldops.com, it'll get you where you need to be. And it's a great event. I really hope that we can see everybody there in person who can make it. And certainly everybody else who can't make it in person, we would love to see you there on the virtual event as well. So we always have a really great time.
Well, yeah, great event. Lots of fun, great people. And, join us.
So as I was getting ready to walk out, I saw these Ace cars, and the ones in the back are the ones that I'm used to. And I noticed that the roof looks different. I'm like, Seth, what is this? And he told me these are the new Rapido Bombardier cars. So we've been spending the last 4 or 5 minutes kind of just looking at them. And I've got to say, these are really, really nice models. And I mean, really, the Athearn ones that came out years ago are also really nice models. But these new Rapido ones are even better, I think. What were the main things that made you want to get them?
Well, the fact that the passenger cars, that the coaches were all lit.
Yeah, they come like that, right?
Yeah.
There's no additional light kits or anything to install. It's really good.
All you would need is a decoder for the cab car, just a mobile decoder with no motor. We did that in the other pair, but the problem was there was no easy way to power the Athearn trucks.
Oh.
So they're kind of sleds, and since they're push-pull, when you're shoving, we have a lot of derailments, even on 28-inch curves. So, and there's only 2 of them on the layout, but boy, you know where they are when you're running the Ace trains. So,
sure.
One thing I'm really looking forward to with these Rapido cars is not only having better-looking passenger cars, but better running passenger cars. And also with the lit interior, of course, we'll try and find some figures and see if we can put some little scenes in there to tell a story.
On November 20th, we went live with last month's episode of Talking Trains. Murph and I were joined by Thomas Gazier to talk about keeping positive. I thought we had a good conversation. I know I learned a lot, and I think it's definitely worth catching on the replay if you missed us live. Hi, we're doing something train related today. The layout behind me is an ON30 sectional layout that's been shown at train shows in our area for years and years and years. And these guys are gonna, I think, part it out or something. I don't know exactly what's all going to happen. We're going to learn that today when we do this layout tour shoot. And it's pretty cool because most of the people that worked on this layout, we know. And so we've been seeing a bunch of people we know already today. Even someone that's come all the way down from Oregon who was on the Talking Trains show last month. That was Pat LaTorres. And he was part of this group. It's the Yosemite Short Line. So anyway, we're shooting this layout today, and I'll be back later with some updates.
Hey, we're here filming the layout tour at Yosemite Short Line, and we noticed this awesome way of storing and transporting your equipment. So they use these plastic storage bins with all the equipment labeled on the front, and then these handy dandy little cardboard and foam with it labeled inside what goes in it. Great way. And they've got boxes or cardboard pallet little boxes that these things all slide into and then stack in layers. So I thought it was cool.
Something else I'm noticing is look at all these amazing cases. These are the cases they would use to transport the modules from this layout. And they're all nicely labeled. And the cases are custom built to fit the modules that go in them. How cool is that? Okay, so this is many hours later, and you can see we're tired. Our friend Pat came all the way down from Oregon because he was part of this group. And Richard was the one that kind of arranged everything, so I just want to thank you guys. Since we have the camera running, what's your favorite memory of running the Yosemite Shortline, Pat?
Would be 2008 when we did a group trip up to Portland, Oregon for the National Narrow Gauge Convention. First, the camaraderie of the group to make the trip was absolutely one of those memories that'll stay with me forever. But also just my first narrow gauge convention, the quality of the modeling we saw there, and the fact that we were part of a whole group. Everybody put together on it. Everybody pulled together. We made a lot of friends, made a lot of positive impressions. It was a good time spent with very good people, which is half of what model wayboating is about, is spending the good time with good people.
All right. Now, I have a different question for you, Richard. Now,
Okay.
this obviously was important because this is 20 years run on the layout. What did you think when you were starting to get this arranged? Like, what were the most important things you wanted to document?
Oh, this? Yeah, I think reviving the memory, the camaraderie, all of that. I get emotional. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. That's a hard question for me. But so the most important thing about this getting together was to bring together the original crew as much as we can. We've had a number of members past, but we certainly have a strong contingent. To remember that bond is invaluable.
Hi, so I'm in my studio this morning working on the podcast because this is podcast week. Today is actually Tuesday, December 3rd. And my phone rang and I saw who it was and I got very excited. So I want you to get excited too. Let's bring him up real quick. Hi, Cliff.
Hey, good morning, John. How you doing today?
I'm a little frazzled. Podcast week is always stressful, but here I am nonetheless, plugging away as usual.
Yeah, well, we're just past Thanksgiving, getting into the December holidays. It's always a time for being a little frazzled, I think.
Yeah. Oh, since you bring it up, I want to wish everybody, all the viewers and listeners of the TSG Multimedia podcast, very happy holidays. I know I already did at the beginning of this show, but I'm doing it again toward the end of the show just to make sure I don't forget. So happy holidays, everybody. And to you too, Cliff.
Yeah, thank you. And may I piggyback on your good holiday wishes for everybody. I hope you have a great one.
Yeah. So we're working on something together, and this is the reason why I wanted to bring you on here, because it's something that I was over at Seth Newman's place earlier this month, and we talked about what we call the SIG meet. And Seth said that we were going to talk to you about some of the clinics that are going to be happening for the SIG meet. And so I wanted to invite you to do that. I think it's a good event that's worth plugging. And what do you have in store for some of the clinic content for that Saturday? Or better yet, just talk about the event.
So first of all, this is put on by the Pacific Coast region of the NMRA, and it is going to be held up in Sacramento at the California State Railroad Museum, which is a really magnificent railroad museum. But it's going to be both offered in a in-person attendee track as well as a virtual attendee track. It starts on Friday, January 31. Friday afternoon, there's going to be a tour of the magic of scale model railroading, the gallery at the California State Railroad Museum, which is a magnificent museum. Then after that, there's going to be a group dinner at a local restaurant in downtown Old Town at Sacramento. And then that evening, for the virtual attendees, there's going to be a virtual check-in.
Right.
And then Saturday, February 1, is a full day of presentations, whereas we were in the model railroad environment call it clinics, but this is not a medical type of clinic. This is, I don't know why they use the term clinic, but anyway, they do. But we've got a series of presentations. We've got a switching puzzle, which is available on the registration website. You can find out what the challenge is, see if you can match your wits with our experts. Maybe you have come up with a better solution than we do, which we will reveal at the end of the day on that Saturday. We'll have layout design presentations, and we will have an operations challenge as well. And then there's social opportunities to get to know people. We're going to have the San Ramon Valley modular group bringing up a couple of modules to look at, so you can have a chance to take a look at their layout. But one of the presentations that I'm particularly excited about is one from Al Dahman, who's a model railroader and operator from Southern California, but he's going to come up and he is going to give, let's see, the title of his presentation is The Journey of Extra 6402 West, an operator's story of operating at La Mesa. And La Mesa is a very high-level model railroad that has been built at the Balboa Museum in San Diego. And it represents the Mojave Division on the Southern Pacific and the Santa Fe. Both railroads are represented, running from Bakersfield, California to Mojave, California. And while this is a very high level, probably one of the best model railroads and one of the best operating model railroads in the country, Al will talk to people about what it's like to be an operator there, and hopefully try to demystify for the novice operator what model railroad operations are all about.
It's interesting. I know Al because he lives in Simi Valley, and that's where I was born, actually.
Oh, wow. What a neat coincidence.
Yeah, I went to Al's layout, as a matter of fact, at SoCal Ops a couple of years ago when I went down to Southern California for that with my friend John Wiley. And Al has a very interesting layout at his own house. His personal layout is in a really small room, but it's HO scale, and he has packed so much operations into this tiny space that it'll be interesting to hear his take on something huge like that layout at La Mesa Club. That one, I don't know if you know this, Cliff, but I did a model railroad layout tour of that layout, and it is the largest, I think, layout that I've ever seen. And they take their operations very seriously there. So that should be a fascinating presentation by Al, I would think.
So are you going to have a 10-year anniversary? 10 years later, you're going to go down and do another video of them?
I don't think so, but I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah.
But in case anybody's interested, I'll put a link to that layout tour here on the podcast description, because it's definitely one worth looking at.
Yeah.
So let me touch really briefly on the virtual event. You did talk about it. There will be the virtual check-in Friday evening. That's where Sydney usually hosts and gets people on who are attending virtually to understand how the meeting works and how to get around. It'll help people who haven't been to one of these things understand better to get more out of it. And also, it's a great way to meet the other attendees, the other virtual attendees. And then Saturday, we're providing basically the entire, what I call clinic track to the meeting all day long. And that's going to be a really great event as well. One of the really cool things about it is that there's an opportunity for interaction, because as the event is unfolding, we're sitting in there with computers, and Sydney monitors the chat on the virtual event, and you can get your questions asked and have your comments heard, assuming they're relevant enough, because she'll raise her hand and ask the presenter real time whatever your question is. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people have thought of doing. And then, of course, sadly, on Sunday, when everybody else is going out to participate in the op sessions, we can't do that virtually. So the virtual event really is just Friday and Saturday. But we're going to be having a great time. People attend from all over, and I mean all over the world. We've had people from Australia and Canada and other parts of the US attend. We've had people from the UK attend these virtual events. It's a lot of fun. And maybe, I don't know, Cliff, maybe the best part about it is that it's not expensive. It's like if you sign up before January 2nd at bayldops.com, if you sign up for either the virtual or for the in-person, there's something that we call an early bird special, where the in-person event, if you sign up before January 2nd, is only $35.
Yeah.
And the virtual event, if you sign up before January 2nd, is only $15.
Right.
So I can't think of a better way to spend $15 if you can't get out to the event in person. There's no better way to do it than to go to the virtual event.
Well, let me, if I might just add into this, I mean, we have a number of sponsors who are supporting our event. And one of them, it's called Precision Model Railroads, is a maker of benchwork kits and helix kits. And they will give a 10% discount to every registrant, whether they're a virtual registrant or whether they are an in-person registrant. And that discount is effective from today through March 31st.
Oh, cool.
And so, maybe you're thinking about something. They have some little kits. You could start with something as modest as a THRA module. They could sell you a kit for that. I put one of those together. It went together very easily. But then you can do things like helixes and other parts of benchwork that you might need. And they go together extremely well.
Excellent. So this is January 31st, February 1st, and February 2nd for the in-person, and then January 31st and February 1st for the virtual. The website, bayldops.com. Go register. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and it'll be great to hang out there, Cliff. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate being invited. So you have a great day.
And now for this month's catches. Giovanni Rossi sends this photo of Union Pacific's eastbound Hollister Local on its way to Hollister from back in 2018. Ethan Doty took this shot of UP 6580 northbound on the XSP Valley sub in Gridley, California on November 30th of this year. If you have a catch you'd like to share, please send it to podcast@tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure you own the shots and tell us the what's, whens, and wheres of the shots you send in. Before we wrap things up, I need to tell you about one more upcoming event that I'm working on. Now, we already heard about the SIG Meet, which happens at the end of this month and is available to anyone with an internet connection anywhere in the world. But there's also another event that will be available virtually about a month and a half later, and that's the Pacific Coast Region's annual convention. It's similar in the respect that it's a hybrid event, meaning it's in-person and virtual. Also, like the SIG Meet, you don't have to be a member of anything to join us virtually. Since you've heard me talk about the SIG Meet for the past couple months, I want to bring in one of the other members of the planning committee to explain what the PCR's virtual convention will be like.
Hi everybody, I'm Sydney and I'd like to invite you to attend the Pacific Coast Region's next annual convention. It's a hybrid event, meaning you can come in person or join us virtually from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be an NMRA member to attend. The convention is March 26th through the 30th in California's Central Coast and beautiful San Luis Obispo. But like I said, we have a virtual option in case you can't attend in person. We've been doing virtual and hybrid events for years now and always cultivate as much of the in-person feel as we can in the virtual event. Anyone can watch videos on YouTube, but at our events there's a lot of socializing just like you get if you attend in person. In addition to that, we'll cover a lot of the usual convention activities and even add some extra content that in-person attendees won't get. This event is using the popular National Narrow Gauge Convention style of schedule that has morning and evening clinics, with the afternoons free for tours of the modular layouts at the convention, a look of the contest room, a video featuring local railroads, and extra clinics including a great double clinic called Intro to Ops for Operators. This will be a group presentation with lots of Q&A on how to get into ops, what to expect, etiquette, types of operating schemes like timetable and train orders, central traffic control, track warrants, and others. An overview of the types of jobs, tips, and more, all geared to get you interested in ops, teach you about ops, and make it a lot more likely that you'll have fun, which is the whole point. All the clinic content from our main virtual program will be made available to attendees for a limited time after the event, so you can rest assured that even if you miss any of the clinics, they'll still be available for you to watch at your convenience. Also remember, you do not have to be a member to attend. Yay! All you need is an internet connection. That's right, anyone anywhere in the world can join us for this great event. Use the discount code PCR2025 to get $10 off the virtual ticket price. That's only $30. What a deal! If you're considering attending in person, make sure you register for the event before the end of the year because the price goes up on January 1st. The best part about conventions is seeing friends and making new ones, so John and I hope to see you at the 2025 Daylight Limited PCR Convention.
I want to tell you that there's no money being made by these events. That's not the goal. The goal is to grow the tent and share a great hobby with as many people as possible. Once again, I'd like to thank all of our great supporters and viewers. Without you, creating the content you enjoy on this channel would not be possible. If you're able, join us on the TSG train crew at patreon.com/TSG Multimedia. If you can't do that, please share your favorite TSG videos as far and wide as you can using your social media and email. Everything helps. So that's it for now. Once again, have a great holiday season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next year.